Morning then. I'd like to call the August 18th meeting to order. The time is 7:03. Everyone is present, correct? One, two, yes. We don't do the Pledge of Allegiance, but I would like everyone to remember in your prayers the baby that was killed and the mother who was on the bicycle with her other child in front of her on Lakeview in Ypsilanti Township on August 12th. So please remember them in your thoughts and prayers. At this time, we have public comments. And if everyone would remember that you have 3 minutes and just give your name and address for the record. And you need to raise your hand. So there is one person that raised their hand. Joanne McCullum.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Oh, okay. Everybody disappeared for a minute, so I wasn't sure. Okay, my name is Joanne McCullum. I live at 1900 Tyler Road, Ypsilanti Township. And there needs to be some important changes in Ypsilanti Township government. One of the changes is how people get on the ballot. This should go back to getting signatures in order to be on the ballot. I think you need to earn to be on the ballot, let people know that you're going to run. I think that's important. There needs to be some sort of conflict of interest concerning relatives being on the same board. Having a mother and daughter-in-law does not give the people a fair chance because of the dynamics of their relationship will disrupt any fairness, honesty, integrity, which it did. Heather Jarrell Rowe and Karen Lovejoy Rowe used their relationship to unethically put Heather on a ballot and make sure no one else gets on the ballot. And I saw that you're going to discuss equity committee. Well, you know what? Doing this way will help with equity if you make sure and get signatures. On another note is the proposed land use for medical marijuana in the packet. I missed the public meeting earlier this year on February 11th regarding the zoning using the IC zoning, which is the backyard of West Willow. Looks like it to me on the map. The zoning ordinance states that section 1841 be 1,000 feet from any residential zone district or resident use. This is not the case from what I can see. I hope this is explained to me, and this is not the case. This needs to be corrected. And you know what, Ypsilanti Township Board, if you're not aware of how unequitable this appears, because it just appears that the one section is used out of the whole entire township is used for this particular industry. The neighborhood that is predominantly Black has been chosen by the zoning committee and approved by the supervisor, clerk, treasurer, and lawyer to be the only place in the entire township to place medical marijuana dispensaries. Why is that? Meetings should be made more available to the public, and they should be be able to list to the public a better way for them to communicate so they know when these meetings are coming up. The way meetings are communicated is very challenging. You have to search for them. You have to look for them. Why do we have to work so hard to find out when these meetings occur? I think that needs to change, and the township needs to work harder at communicating these meetings to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. We have Azar. Yeah.
Staffield.
Okay.
Azar Staffield speaking. Hello, everybody. The address is 2401 Parkwood in Ypsilanti Township. I want to reiterate with what Ms. McCollum said. I'm not very knowledgeable about the politics, and I don't intend to be or gain any knowledge, but considering the size of Ypsilanti Township, I have read and understood that there is only commercial / industrial areas that could be used for growing medical marijuana. And our address qualifies for that. However, it has a restriction of 1,000 feet from residential, which is, to me, is unsubstantiated simply because no matter where in town you go, you are within the 1,000 square feet or 1,000 feet of a residential building. In a way, I consider that a taking, quote to quote, by the Ypsilanti Township, simply because I could justify being 1,000 feet away from a school or a church or a mosque or a synagogue or a college. But considering the size of the township, I cannot justify growing something that has been found legal in the state of Michigan by the vote of public, undoable within the township levels. Also, I have objection to the zoning that restricts the medical marijuana growth to only 72 plants, simply because, again, the statute within the state of Michigan has made it legal to obtain a certificate and a license and a permit with paying substantial amount of money to grow marijuana for medical and recreational purposes based on that license. Why is that the Ypsilanti Township has restricted that to 72 plants? And in this case, speaking legally, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I know that the state law supersedes the zoning ordinance. Therefore, I want these two restrictions to be removed. And I would like, as a citizen of this country and this township, for this restriction to be removed. I respectfully submit that to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Thomas Piostrowski.
Can you hear me okay? Because I'm not sure.
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, good, thank you. You know, it's been a while since I attended one of these meetings, and it's more of a kind of a question / comment, and it's something that's on everybody's mind nowadays, and it has to do with the upcoming election. And my question comment is wondering what the township, and you can address it now or later. Again, I don't know pretty much the proper protocol, but what is the township doing to ensure that all of our ballots are counted, that there's no issues at any of our precincts, that there's no issue at the post office, and have we entered into any discussions with the local postal people to ensure that we're made fully aware of how our ballots are being handled? Is there anything that we can do as a community to make sure, to make their jobs easier and to make sure that each and everybody's ballot gets counted? So again, if this is the proper time for it, then please comment away, or if you want to save this for later on in the meeting, please do so. But again, it's just concerns that I have. You know, every time you turn on the TV, there's more concerns that are raised by various candidates that this is going to be fraudulent and whatnot. So if the committee or if the board could just address those concerns now or at a later time, it'd be appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we could do it under there's a agenda item that's on the agenda regarding some election equipment, but we can also address it under township board's response or comments too. But in general, I think we're pretty blessed because our clerk and their staff can actually go to the post office, and they go daily and pick up ballots from there, so you don't have to wait for them to be delivered. So I think that's really helped expedite the process. There's special envelopes that the Secretary of State has designated, so it makes it for delivery. You know, it's important, and it's a totally different envelope than what it used to be. And I do know that Congresswoman Debbie Dingle has met with the post office. I have met with the post office before. And Karen, I don't think there's really was a big issue in this election because you picked them up, do you?
The biggest issue, and what Mr. Piotrowski's brought up, I mean, it is a real concern. Our biggest issue is that we did 2 major mailings, one on July 1st and one on the 7th. And those 2 mailings, that's like our initial mailings, just, you know, it was like 4 precincts, I think, on July 1st and the rest of them on the 7th. And those were the ones that we had people calling in that never received their ballots. So it was an issue. One of the things that we're going to do is we're trying to get the funding to hopefully put up 2 new drop-off mailboxes, so we'll have 3 places. I haven't had a chance to talk through this with the elected officials or with like the fire department, because I thought one would make sense at the fire station on Ford Boulevard, where people can pull in on the side, not interfere with the fire trucks. And then possibly one, I was thinking that Ypsi High School would be great because it's got a nice pull off, but we're working on that. The state's supposed to be paying for those so that people can use those instead of that, but that still doesn't address the issue of people not getting their ballots. So one of the things, once the ballots are in or even before, we're getting applications every day, and I'm responding to people and saying, we can mail those out, or you can come in the first week of October and actually pick up your ballot. So we're going to encourage people to do that too, or to really make sure that if they do them by mail, to please call, within a week or 2 after they were supposed to arrive, to make sure that they got those. So they are concerns, but I think Supervisor Stumble is right. We're really blessed because we do go over there. We did not have that many ballots. There were some. Actually, I was on vacation, but I checked with staff because we were keeping some of the Secretary of State asked us to send in how many were postmarked that came in later, and I think we were around 20 ballots as of 2 days ago when I checked with staff to find out where how many that actually came in after. But the biggest issue was those that did not get those. So people did call in and they either went to the polls. We had to keep the applications because they had to sign a form at the polls saying that they did not receive it. And so we had, every precinct probably had 10 to 15 people that didn't receive their ballots that went to the polls, or they came into the township and picked up, before election day, voted, at the township. So we're going to encourage people to do that. And also, but if they're going to go by mail, to please check, we'll be doing our big mailing, probably will be the first week of October, towards the end of that. So people should have those by the 2nd or 3rd week in October. And if they don't, they really should check them. There's a way to do that online, or they can just call our office or email to make sure that their ballot actually was mailed out. That's all I had on that, Supervisor.
Okay. Are there any other hands raised that I'm missing?
I think Tom has his hand up again.
And you get 3 minutes and that's it. Tom, is he raising his hand again?
I just had a quick follow-up. I think it's a great plan. My only question is how do we get all that information to all the voters of what and how to handle their ballot if they don't get it, where the various options are to drop it off. That's all. I think it's a great plan, but now it's implementing the plan and getting that information to the people that I'm concerned about.
That's always the biggest job on whatever we're doing, but we have some plans. Eastern Echo is willing to do a follow-up article, you know, from the August 4th election, and MLive is willing to do that. And then we have a lot of neighborhood watch groups. And so my plan is to get those posted on all those Facebook accounts. And there's like the Ypsi area discussion. There's 3 or 4 major ones that we're going to try, and along with next door, because a lot of we did get a lot of information out. There was people would ask those questions during the August 4th election, and so we were able to get a lot of information out to people on what to do, how to check, how to follow up. And so those are the things that we're trying to do. I don't know, maybe we could even, I'm not sure when the water bills go out, maybe we could even put something in there. Please follow your ballot. You can follow it, you know, at mich.gov/vote and find out, you know, when their ballot went out, if it was received. So maybe we can work with YCUA. I don't know if we can hit one of their billings or not, but we can talk with Jeff Castro and them about maybe putting something in there too.
Thank you. And we'll let everyone know what the plan of action is, right, Karen, once we get one.
Absolutely, and it definitely will be on our website. That's the best places for people to sign up. So when something's posted to the website, to sign up for the, you know, Ypsi Township Town News, then you'll automatically get whatever we post on there, which we will be posting once we get everything finalized.
All right. No more hands are raised, and we'll go to the consent agenda. We have the minutes of the July 21st regular meeting, statements and checks, and the July 2020 treasurer's report.
Madam Chair, I would move to approve the consent agenda. Doe.
Support.
Carol Rowe.
Port Eldridge. I heard you, Heather. Oh, I see you. Now I can see you. We have a motion in support to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Attorney's general legal update, Mr. Winters?
Madam Chair, there are still a number of ongoing infrastructure projects that are nearing completion. And as I reported during the months of May, June, and July, the Loomfeather Point Park, that was the emergency stormwater repair that was authorized by the Township Board. Discussing this matter with Director Hoffmeister today, they're nearing completion of that project. It was quite a mess in regards to the condition of the original pipe, but it has been completed, and they expect to have the landscaping and the watering for the next several weeks, at which time the construction equipment will be removed from the park. Likewise, with Burns Park, they're nearing completion of the final layer of asphalt. That's for the Burns Park tennis and pickleball court. The skate park is almost finished as well. They're going to be doing the rain garden painting in the next few weeks. It's on schedule and should be opened in September. The Grove Road Phase 2 construction is underway. So there's a lot of moving pieces that are going on simultaneously, and they're all going in the right direction. In regards to the solid waste contract, that is supposed to be on the Township Board agenda on September 15th. We received the performance bonds, the labor and material payment bonds, still waiting for the attorneys for waste management to release the contract. The RFP pretty much contained the contract, although there are special provisions in this contract, as you recall, from in regards to recycling. Talking to Mike today, we are going to have the 96-gallon carts delivered in mid-September, and they're going to be distributed throughout the township during that period of September 24th to 26th. Those are the 96-gallon carts. They're going to be available to all township residents. In regards to the public nuisance neighborhood stabilization, I do have kind of a caveat. And I've been talking the last month or so with Mike Radzik and Ordinance Administrator Bill Elling, who is obviously, in many cases, the boots on the ground overseeing a lot of the properties. And I am starting to see some warning signs that are somewhat reminiscent of what we saw in 2008. I don't think that we're at that point yet where we're, kind of crying out that this is the same as 2008, but there are definitely some warning signs out there. We're seeing a number of properties that have been vacant or abandoned, in some cases for years. And township, in many cases, continues to receive complaints from neighbors through the neighborhood watch groups or concerned citizens that will actually contact the OCS or even Carly Willis downstairs for issues that are going on throughout the different neighborhoods. So just trying to at least make you aware that the neighborhood stabilization, which has been going on for 12 years, has been very, very successful. You're always constantly reminded as to how vigilant you must remain because during periods of economic uncertainty, upheaval, and all the things that we're seeing come at us throughout southeastern Michigan and the state in general because of the COVID, I think the ordinance administrators, the ordinance officers are doing an excellent job going out there day to day to try and keep the township free from blight, free from trash, and trying to bring the properties into compliance voluntarily. If not, then by circuit court action. So again, it's just kind of the storm clouds are somewhat gathering a little bit in some parts of the township. I just want you to be aware that you must remain vigilant to keep that neighborhood stabilization policy in full force and effect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Did someone have a question? Under new business, the first item on the agenda is a first reading of proposed ordinance 2024-93, an ordinance to amend Chapter 62, Article 4, Section 6277 of the Code of Ordinances, Charter Township of Ypsilanti, to adjust the sewer disposal rates. Clerk Rowe?
I have proposed ordinance 2020-493, an ordinance to amend Chapter 62, Article 4, Section 62 through 77 of the Code of Ordinances for Ypsilanti Township to adjust the sewage disposal rate. Be it ordered by the Charter Township of Ypsilanti that Section 62 through 77, Chapter 62, Article 4 of the Code of Ordinance be revised as follows. For all billings rendered prior to October 1st, 2020, existing sewage disposal service rates shall prevail. For all billings rendered on or after October 1st, 2020, charges for sewage disposal services shall be as follows. For each bi-monthly two-month period, readiness to serve rates based on the size of the meter, and it's listed out on the ordinance in the board packet from meter size inch 5/8 to 3/4 for a water rate of $16.47. For 1 inch, $41.18. 1.5 inches, $131.78. 2 inches, wind up here. 2 inches, $131.78. 3 inches, $411.79. 4 inches, $823.59. 6 inches, $1,647.16. 8 inches, $2,882.54. 10 inches, $4,529.70. 12 inches is $5,353.29. The commodity rate is $2.71 per 100 cubic feet. I would so move the first reading proposed ordinance number 2020-493.
Motion. Support Doe.
Correct.
I know that Dwayne Herring and Director Jeff Castro is on the computer. Just overview.
Would you like me to present?
Yes, please.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. YCUA is requesting your consideration for a change in ordinance increasing the Township Division sewer rate 3% effective October 1st, 2020. In your material is a draft Township sewer ordinance as well as budget highlights related to the YCUA September 1st, 2021 fiscal year's budget. I'm anticipating at the YCUA Board of Commissioners meeting on August 26th that the board will consider a recommendation to the Board of Trustees for a sewer rate increase of 3%. At the same meeting, the YCUA board will consider a water rate increase of 3% to Township Division customers. The Great Lakes Water Authority, who we receive our water from, has increased their rate to YCUA 3%, which will go into effect October 1st, 2020. The combined effect of these rate adjustments will be a 3% increase on a Township Division customer's bi-monthly water and sewer bill. A spreadsheet detailing the effect of these adjustments is included in your materials. As an example, an Ypsilanti Township average user of 10 units will see increase of $2.72 on their bi-monthly water and sewer bill, or $1.36 per month. YCUA asks for your consideration for a change in ordinance to increase the Township Division sewer rate by 3% effective October 1st, 2020. As an example, other rate comparisons increases. Ann Arbor has increased their rate 6.5%. Kalamazoo has increased their rates 12%. Sterling Heights 5.2%. City of Birmingham 3.25%. And of course YCUA 3%. But if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Other questions or comments? I think maybe as a point of clarification on the proposed ordinance, it says water rate. Should that say sewer rate in the ordinance? You see, Clerk Rowe? Anyway, Lisa, do you see what I'm talking?
I don't know, that was a question probably for Jeff to answer. We were given a readiness to serve rates based on, this is what we were sent by Christina from YCUA for the meter size and where it says water rate prices. So Jeff, should that say sewer rate?
Right, that's my question.
On the ordinance you got?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that should say sewer rate.
So under where I read under readiness to serve based on the size of the meter, the meter sizes are right, but that should say sewer rate.
In the body of the letter, it talks about sewage disposal rate, but you're right, the title of that column says water rate.
And that's not correct.
Correct, it should say sewer rate.
Yeah, because it says the whole ordinance, everything else I read said sewage disposal. So
Yeah, you're correct.
Supervisor Stumbles right. So let's change that and
We can correct that.
we'll correct that for the second reading, but understood for the first reading that was a typo, and so it should be sewer rate, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you. And then the
Where are you seeing
Madam
that?
Chair, sorry.
The document that I'm showing says sewer rate. Which one? Dwayne, am I reading this wrong?
It's this one. It says water right here.
Yeah, it was printed out. I printed it out yesterday from our packet, so this was what was in the packet, but we'll change that for the second reading.
Okay.
Or,
all right. Any questions?
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Hi, this question is for Jeff. Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
I just wanted to make sure if I'm reading this correct. So basically the 3% increase in the water rate is a pass through basically because of GLEWA. And then there will be, obviously, if this is approved, a 3% increase in the sewer rate. So combined together, is that 6%?
Nope, combined effect is 3%.
It's just still, okay, I just wanted to
Yep.
make sure. That's why I wanted
Yep,
to make
that's
sure.
a
I
very
had it
good
correct.
question. Yep,
Okay, thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Other questions or comments? Hearing none, we have to do a roll call vote on this. Clerk Rowe,
I'm sorry. Yes.
Treasurer Doe,
Yes.
Trustee Eldridge,
Yes.
Trustee Ross Williams,
Yes.
and Trustee Heather Rowe.
Yes.
Is Jimmy Wilson on the?
Yes.
And Trustee Wilson. Okay, very good. Thank you. The agenda item is approved, and for first reading, second reading will come back to the board. Number
Thank
two.
you.
Thank you. Number two is a first reading resolution 2020-18, proposed ordinance 2024-92, an ordinance amending the zoning code, section 306, schedule of uses, medical marijuana dispensaries and medical marijuana nursery. Clerk Rowe?
I have a resolution 2020-18 in reference to proposed ordinance 2024-92 that amends the zoning code, section 306, schedule of uses, medical marijuana dispensaries and medical marijuana nurseries. Whereas at its regular scheduled meeting of February 11, 2020, the Charter Township Ypsilanti Township Planning Commission recommended the Township Board adopt an amendment to the Ypsilanti Township zoning code regarding medical marijuana dispensaries and medical marijuana nurseries. And whereas proposed ordinance number 2020-492 provides that medical marijuana dispensaries and medical marijuana nurseries are permitted uses within the IC industrial commercial zoning district, subject to special use conditions set forth in section 1841, and no longer permitted uses in I-1 light industrial and I-2 general industrial zoning districts. And whereas the Township Board of Trustees agrees that the zoning code amendment is appropriate, now therefore be it resolved that the Charter Township Ypsilanti hereby adopts and incorporates by reference ordinance number 2020-492 attached hereto by reference in its entirety. I would move resolution 2020-18, the first reading of proposed ordinance 2020-492 for discussion purposes.
Support.
Motion Rowe, support Wilson. Jason, are you a panelist?
Yeah, good evening.
Hi, no, planning director.
The Board of Trustees. My name's Jason Ancoangeli. I'm the planning director for Ypsilanti Township. Ordinance amendment. Basically what it does is it removes the medical marijuana ordinance provisions regarding dispensaries and the operations associated with growing, and it removes them from the I-1 and I-2 districts and puts that as a special conditional use in the IC district. So all of the other ordinance items that are included in the medical marijuana ordinance don't change. The only thing that's changing with this ordinance is basically the location. One of the things that our office points to is the new master plan zoning, or the new master plan land use designation for this IC area on our zoning map is considered the Innovation and Employment District. And the Innovation and Employment District is intended to be major employment area of the township, targeted for companies at the cutting edge of innovation with not only technology, but office, craft manufacturing, and light industrial uses. You know, a lot of the medical marijuana that's grown in the state of Michigan, or any of the marijuana that's grown in the state of Michigan for recreational use, typically takes place in really large warehouse facilities that are filled with technology and a lot of security because of the nature of that business. Our department feels that this change in directing those types of uses to an area of the township that accommodate larger tracts of land and more warehousing areas is sort of a fit for this. As far as the dispensary part of it goes, dispensaries rely on patients. Patients in our community are currently going to other dispensaries in the city of Ypsilanti or Ann Arbor to get their medicine. As far as recreational marijuana goes, we currently have a moratorium in place while we decide whether or not we're going to allow recreational type marijuana uses in the township. So from a land use perspective, trying to foster some of those bigger businesses associated with medical marijuana and recreational marijuana, this seems to make sense. A lot of the areas that it's being taken away from are, sort of like the James L. Hart Parkway area, and portions of East Michigan Avenue that are historically automotive businesses and storage yards and salvage yards. They don't really lend themselves well to this type of use anyway. A lot of the parcels are small, and the buildings that are there now are tend to be marginal. So I'm happy to answer any questions. And so again, this ordinance doesn't change any of the existing language, or this ordinance amendment doesn't change any of the existing language in the current ordinance. It just simply changes the zoning district where medical marijuana is currently allowed in places it is a special land. I don't know, you folks have any questions for me?
Madam Chair.
There we go. I'm sorry. Did I unmute you? Yes, I did. Okay. Yes.
Me, okay. I just wanted to say that I would like to propose that we table this item until we're done discussing the recreational marijuana that we've already, declared that we're going to do later this year, just because they always go hand in hand. Like most of the time, recreational facilities also sell medical marijuana and vice versa. So for us to continue to work on this issue, I think it would just be prudent of us to wait to really figure out what we're going to do with recreational marijuana. And just to further my discord with this change is that it continues to pigeonhole marijuana facilities in our community, which is absolutely fine if that's what this board wishes to do, but no one has actually said that. So to me, to put it in the same category as an adult entertainment facility, a junkyard, a pawn shop, it just continues to dissuade business owners who might want to come to our township to do so. But more importantly, if the board is open to it, I would like to table this issue until we're done deciding what we're doing with recreational marijuana.
All right. I just need some clarity from, I'm not sure if it's Jason or Doug, the attorney. Medical marijuana has been on the books for a long time, and there is a distinction between medical and recreational. So I'm not exactly sure how they're tied together.
Usually what I'm saying is not about the law, it's about that they're usually sold at the same places. In other states that have legalized both, they typically are sold out of the same, boutiques or whatever we want to call them. Sorry, my internet's not great, so if you're talking, I can't hear you.
Madam Supervisor? Madam Supervisor? Brenda, can you hear me?
I think we just lost her.
Lost Brenda?
Yeah.
I was having a really hard time hearing Jason too, so I don't know if it's on my end. Did anyone else have that trouble?
I did as well.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was hard.
Brenda, where'd you go?
I think she's rebooting her computer.
Okay.
What, can anyone hear me right now?
Yes.
So while we're waiting, Stan, I was wondering if you could share a little bit, because I did read the meeting minutes from the Planning Commission, but it doesn't really, go into much of the discussion that you guys had. Would you just share a little bit of that with us?
Well, it was primarily led by our representative from Carlisle Wortman. And I think Jason hit it on the head that their recommendation, talking with the planning department at the township, was to try and utilize that innovation and employment district because we were changing over from the I-1 and I-2. Jason, I think that's the right numbers, I-1 and 2 to the IC. It's been 8 months ago, so I'm trying to remember the details of the meeting, but Jason, I also struggled to hear some of the comments. I think I knew some of the discussion from that meeting, but maybe if you could just go over it again as to why we selected that spot based on the recommendation from Carlisle Wortman.
Yeah, so again, like you were just mentioning, Stan, everybody can hear me, I take it?
I can.
The new zoning or the new master plan designation for the IC district, as it's represented on the zoning map, is an innovation and employment district that envisions, employment centers that are into all types of different, not just traditional manufacturing, but things like technology, craft manufacturing. It envisions even some of these types of operations. What I was saying earlier is that the grow operations for recreational and medical marijuana are, there are caregivers that do it in smaller settings, but a lot of the bigger companies that do it need a large amount of square footage, and they want, buildings that are, a lot of the buildings are, they cost a lot of money. They have a lot of high-tech security and a lot of equipment associated with growing marijuana, especially in the state of Michigan. And so the idea would be is that area is more conducive for those types of businesses and operations as opposed to the ones that are local. The I-1 and I-2 districts are smaller investment primarily located around James L. Hart Parkway and sort of east of Michigan Avenue as you kind of head out of town to the east. And so the idea being, that this would be the place that would better suit those folks anyway. Again, the trustee know is that, a lot of people do medicinal marijuana and recreational. A lot of those are
Can I hear you?
Jason, you're like breaking up again.
I'm breaking up again?
Yeah, really bad. Are you in the office?
I am in the office, yes.
Can you maybe run down and see what's going on with Brenda to see what we should do?
Yep.
I don't, coming back or?
Maybe they can share a computer in Jason's office there.
Yeah, it's made better sound.
I will just quickly share too that I spoke with Jason yesterday on the phone, and he was very helpful in answering all of my questions. It's just more about a bigger picture of, they go hand in hand. I understand there are two different laws, but the issues go hand in hand. So if we want to, keep them in this district period, then, that is what it is. But I just would hate to go forward with this and then have to make another change to it if we do something different with recreation and want to kind of group them together later on down the road. And since we're doing that later this year, it just seems silly to me to move forward with this at this time.
Does anybody know if Supervisor Stumbo is reconnected?
Yeah, she should be with us momentarily. Her computer completely froze, so she had to reboot, and she's relogging back on.
Jason, I thought I had read somewhere that there was actually interest in someone coming into I-1 or I-2. I don't know if they were a warehouse or a distributor or retail or.
Office hasn't been contacted by anybody since I've been
Oh,
in January.
oh.
I mean, inquiries from time to time, but a lot of them are not. They're for your regular retail type stores, and they're looking at pieces of property that are primarily zoned like B3, general commercial, things like that. Because the retail businesses, they don't, they want to be located where there's a place where there's traffic, like any other kind of person that sells goods and services. They want to be where cars are at, and they want to get traffic and those types of things. So
Where is that allowed now, retail? Was it in I-1 and I-2? Is all of medical marijuana in I-1 and I-2 right now?
Currently, it's allowed.
You're breaking up. We can't hear you.
Currently, it's allowed in all 3 industrial districts, I-1, 2, and C.
All allow both retail and where the whole anything related to medical marijuana right now, right?
The medical marijuana, but not recreational marijuana.
It's like I can repeat it when Brenda comes, but that's my concern is like, why is, unless that's the desire is basically not to have anything, because it seems to me that they should be separated. Like retail is different than warehousing or production, and I'm not following the thing about the whole innovative thing. I mean, the whole growth of both research and actually just growing medical marijuana is highly technical, and so I don't understand why that doesn't fit into where it's currently at. I'm not sure about it just being for retail in that area. That seems really strange to me. Seems to me it would be more appropriate to be, in the Kroger Plaza or, somewhere, like that for actual retail. My big rub with all of it, which I expressed back when we originally adopted it, is that I just think people who use medical marijuana, it's seen for them to have to go. First of all, I don't believe that a business will develop a retail operation in an IC district where it's located. As you just said, Jason, they want to be where where commercial districts are. And so it seems to me that it would make sense to separate those not out and not have them all in the same kind of district if we're going to have medical marijuana operations. And that would make sense. And I agree with both Azar Staffeld and both Joanne McCollum that to dump everything into that one area is really is kind of not just unfair to the people who live there, but also for doesn't make sense to me for retail. And I do think that there's people with children who shop medical marijuana. And I think one of the studies that we had on East Michigan Ave and on Fort Boulevard and the whole East corridor, when we spent those dollars to do the business study, one of the things identified is that everybody has to drive out of their community to go shop for everything from coffee to clothing, and also for their medical marijuana needs. And I think for people that are using that for whether it's pain relief or chemotherapy or epilepsy for their children, to stigmatize and say, oh, the only place you can do it, well, you can't do it in Ypsilanti Township because no retailer is going to come and open a shop down by the water sewer treatment plant. So I think that we need to look at it as a bigger picture, of separating them out, if that's what we want to do. And if we don't want to do that, then I think then we just need to say we don't want medical marijuana, and that's why we're putting an IC, just like we put the porn shops and the manufacturing, trailer parks. That's where they can go now. So we meet the law. We have a zoning that says they can, but we all know that no one's building a trailer park, no one's opening a porn shop, and no one's going to open a medical marijuana facility in IC. And that's okay if that's what the majority board wants, but that's not something that I would support. And I guess at this time, if the concern is that you don't want it in the I1 and I2, is that, and that you really want to free those up for whatever else, it seems like there's a way that we can do that without throwing everything in IC right now.
There's two hands that are raised. Azar Staffel.
Yes, may I speak, please?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I have to congratulate Miss Heather Rowe because the beauty and the wise don't come together usually, but God has made an exception for you, young lady. I congratulate you. Well put. And I also fully agree with Miss Karen Rowe that I don't see any need for separating or categorizing all of these growing dispensaries and so on and so forth. What is mind-boggling to me is you mean to tell me that Ypsilanti Township is so rich that gives money to this Carlisle company to tell them to restrict their growing or bringing to new businesses into town? That, and then you guys go ahead and then vote for increase of the cost of utility for the residents. Doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry, but what I like to see is to expand upon I1, I2, C1, C2, C3, not to limit that. I don't know why. I listened very, very carefully. I'm sorry, Mr. Jason Laconagelli. I'm gonna address to you as Jason, forgive me, and because I don't want to mispronounce your name, but Mr. Jason, I listened to you carefully. You made two distinct statements. No place in your statement I could find a logical explanation as how you are taking away the growing ability from I1 and I2 areas. You keep saying that, oh, they have to spend a lot of money to have warehouses and security and so on and so forth. What's wrong with doing that within the Ypsilanti Township limits? That means employment, mister, okay? And let them come and bring jobs to the community. What's wrong with having a research and growing facility that doesn't bother anybody? I don't understand. What is are you related to Carlisle and Company somehow, some way, that you trying to justify this venture you're undertaking? I cannot find a legal and logical explanation for the issues you raise. You have to forgive me for that.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, let's get to the guest. Joanne McCullum.
Yes, I just want it cleared up that what the map that I'm looking at, where is it IC is proposed? Yes, it extends into West Willow, right at the border on the south end of Tyler. So I'm wondering, is that part zoned industrial or business? Do you see the map? This is the map I saw in the packet.
I'm going to look at it here.
Right up the Wired Road. Jason, can you clarify? But I think you're right, Joanne.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's going to put it on IC. The whole black, well, mine didn't come out in color, so mine's black.
Mine is too, and it runs all the way to McCartney.
Madam Chair, that would be McCartney Road, which is kind of, yeah, that's McCartney.
Yeah, the IC district runs at the very bottom in the south of the IC district is Coolidge. And northernmost extent of the IC district to the north is basically the railroad line right next to US 12. And then the
West.
westerly border is Wired Road. The IC district doesn't extend
To
on
McCartney.
Wired. It's only on the east side, near the intersection of Wired and Tyler.
Okay, so is that a mistake then? As far as the south part, I'm sorry.
No, it's
It's just the way it looks.
I think the best way, if you have questions, is to look at the zoning map on the townships.
Okay.
Maps in the board packet may have not have translated well just because of the reproduction.
So where's the east border, Jason?
The east border of the IC district, again.
I'm sorry, the west border.
The west border?
Iron.
Yeah, that's Rawsonville Road.
Well, that definitely comes right up to Westville, so that is not.
Oh, it's on the other side of the expressway. Wired Road on the other side of the expressway. It's where ACM is, YCUA.
That's where ICU ends, or IC ends, as you're saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Trustee Rossman.
Yeah, I'm looking at the same map. So it appears that that location anyway is at the very best is in the middle of the island. That's in between Wired. I think I understand what Jason's talking about because it does extend all the way to the, I'm not good on the northwest, or I call it the Wyatt Road that goes into US 12. But I think the clarity on the map is needed because I think there's an additional section there that goes into the island itself, which makes it appear that is bordering McCartney. So just wanted to make sure I put that out there first. Secondly,
is everyone clear that it doesn't go over to McCartney?
Yes, thank you.
I'm sorry,
No, you're totally fine. Secondly, I wanted to go, and I'm not sure where the 1,000 feet mark is because we now have some questions about the map. But I do also confer with Ms. McCullum's comment in regards to the 1,000 feet. I'm not sure if we have a new map, does that not make it into 1,000 feet? Because on the map, it definitely appeared to be within 1,000 feet of a residential district. Number 3, the IC area extends into where the American Center for Mobility is. I'm not sure if, in fact, I'm pretty sure that that's not what is going to be at the ACM. So I guess I don't understand why the map extends there. Number 4 is the ordinance itself. It reads a little different. It says basically on the second whereas, it goes after the subject to the special use conditions set forth in section 1841 and no longer permitted uses in I-1, light industrial, and I-2, which is general industrial zoning districts. But that's not what it says basically on the 211 Planning Commission minutes. Actually inside the memo for Carlisle Workman, it states inside of there, I'll read it. Due to anticipated changes of the use of James L. Hart Parkway, place of worship ceasing at 770 and 660 James L. Hart Parkway, and the Girl Scouts leaving 550 Parkway, medical marijuana uses may be able to locate on land zoned I-1 in the township center or the township core under the current zoning. So I'm not really sure why it would say on the memo itself, those would be no longer permitted uses. I would agree also with Trustee Gerald Rowe, but for different reasons, that this needs to be tabled. And the reasons why I would say it is because I believe that it needs to be at least a bit more community voice for the community that's right next to where this IC district is at, and that the community voice also needs to be included. And I'm assuming that inside of the later proposed in the year talks about where marijuana facilities are going to be included, that community voice will also equally be included. So that would be my comment. I would agree to table.
Is that a motion?
I can make it as a motion to table.
I've heard
Yep.
two people say table, so.
Yeah.
A motion by Ross Williams,
Support Gerald Rowe.
support by Gerald Rowe. We'll do a roll call vote. Lovejoy Rowe,
Yes.
Ross Williams,
Yes.
Gerald Rowe,
Yes.
Dan Eldridge. Did you say yes? You did. Larry Doe,
Yes.
Yes.
Amy Wilson, Trustee Wilson?
Yeah, yes.
And Stumbo votes yes. We'll table it for more clarity and let the community know.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is a first reading, or I'm sorry, is a request to approve agreement of, are we okay to move forward? Request to approve agreement of sub-award of federal financial assistance with Washtenaw County for construction of a bus stop at Schooner Cove. We have a motion by Rowe.
Support.
Support by Ross Williams. Is that correct?
That is correct.
To, I know Mike Hoffmeister is here. This is, I don't know if someone would like to give just a quick review. We've been dealing with this for a long time. And we're finally at the point where we have someone to award a contract to. And Mike, I know our attorney has reviewed it, and Mike Hoffmeister has actually spoken to Urban County, and there might be additional dollars too to help with this.
Yes. Mike Hoffmeister, Residential Services Director. Thank you for your time this evening. This is the subrecipient agreement between Washtenaw County and Ypsilanti Township for the Schooner Cove bus stop project. If you remember, this project was bid in the fall of 2019. Things didn't go our way. The Board of Trustees decided to rebid it, and we received a low bid with Best Asphalt. The CDBG funding does pay for approximately $138,000 of the project. The tentative construction costs are about $180,000 to $182,000, I believe, which makes a difference of about $52,000 difference, which currently does sit in the budget amendment request this evening. Supervisor Stumbo did mention that after discussions with Tara Cohen at the county, we have been doing some shuffling of CDBG funding, which perhaps Clerk Rowe can mention in detail if we need to get down that road. But there may be some additional CDBG funding in 2020, which would add up to approximately $160,000 for this project, which would lower the difference of the township requirement. We won't know that information until further down the line. But that's just information we received today from Ms. Cohen at the county in advance of this meeting, hoping for some additional information. So that's where we're at. It's this agenda, which is the subrecipient agreement, and then obviously the next agenda is the contract with Best Asphalt to proceed.
Are there questions?
I know there was Supervisor Stumbo.
Yes.
There was questions about the why this late in the year, and just to remind folks is that we don't get the HUD funding final numbers and as soon as we get those from Tara, then we put from the federal government just come through. And I know it's really bad, as Attorney Winters has pointed out, for construction season, but it is what it is. It's we deal with it all the time, and not the best situation, but we don't have a choice if we want to get HUD funding. So just wanted to mention that.
Okay, trustee Heather Rowe? Heather Gerald?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to say also, and to rather encourage all of our board members to continue to reach out to AATA and Matt Carpenter over there, because there have been recent proposed changes that'll start at the end of this month, I believe, to the Schooner Coat route, and we're only going to be able to do the flex ride as of now, and hopefully, you know, our full service route will continue there. And I would love to see a bus stop there more than anything, especially since we've worked on this so long. But just, you know, in solidarity as a township board, we really have to continue to talk to AATA about maintaining that service to our residents there. And then this is sort of for the next piece of it, but I'll just go ahead and say it now. I just had a question about the AATA coordination that's in the document. I think it's paragraph 26. I'm having a hard time finding it, but just to, you know, make sure that especially Matt Carpenter is aware that we're moving forward with this project as we're spending all these dollars on it. Thank you.
Thank you. And we actually did send the email to AATA to ask if they were going to continue with the bus route, because that was a big concern, because we're going to, you know, put over $225,000 into a nice asset, and then they stopped the bus service. So right now, because of COVID, everything is just, it's just different. I actually think calling and getting a ride to the shuttle might be quicker for some people, depending on where they're going. I know some people that actually used it and it's worked for them, but I don't know the entire schedule to see how well it's working for everybody. But if it I call it dial a ride. It's kind of a good service. We've tried to get them to change their hours more to accommodate the residents, you know, and working. And it goes out to Lincoln School. So it's a pretty big area that they've expanded to. So I think that works a little bit, but I'm with you. I think it's better to have a bus on time every time so you can depend on it. And are there any other, oh, I have one more. Nope. Any other questions or comments on this? We have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Nay? Hearing none, motion passed. Number 4 is a request to approve the contract documents with Best Asphalt for construction of the Schooner Cove bus stop and to authorize the signing.
Support Eldridge.
Motion Rowe, support Eldridge. Discussion? It does say substantial completion should be October 30th of 2020. So I think we've been working on it 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Any questions or comments? Oh, Trustee Gero, do you have your hand raised again? Nope.
Sorry.
All right. We have a motion of support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 5 is a request to waive the financial policy and approve the quote from RHM Fluid Power in the amount of $11,918, which is budgeted in line item 252-252-000-930-000 to design and build and install the control components for gates 1 and 2 for the hydro dam.
So move. Row.
Motion Rowe.
Lovejoy.
Support Doe.
Support Doe. Is there discussion on this? For the budgeted item? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. The next item is a request to authorize circuit litigation to abate public nuisance at 281 Ohio Street, 2688 Peachcrest, and 1448 Nash, which is budgeted.
So moved, Gerald Rowe.
Support Wilson.
Motion Zero Rose, support Wilson. Discussion on these items? Mr. Brenner? Someone mute the microphone. We have a motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 7 is request to purchase a high-speed scanner from Hart in the amount of $124,405, which is budgeted in line item 101-215-000-977-000, contingent upon approval of budget amendment and approval of a grant from the state of Michigan in the amount of $30,000, bringing the cost to the scanner to $94,405.
I'd like to change I want to change the agenda item to purchase in the high speed in the amount of it's $109,405 because we don't have the firm commitment. We think we're going to get it from the state for the $30,000 at this time. So my motion would be to request the purchase from Hart Intercivic Election High-Speed Scanner, the absentee count board, in the amount of the $109,405. That's right, Lisa, isn't it? We have a commitment from the county for $15,000 firm, but we're still waiting. Do I have that number right, Lisa?
Yeah.
So
I'm just checking.
yeah, because if you haven't
1,000 from the county, it would be 109,405.
and if we get the other money from the state, it will be the 94,000. It'll be actually less. It'll be 109 minus 30,000. We're pretty confident, but because I don't have it for sure in writing yet. What happened was they came through with another round of funding, and the person who's handling that was off all last week. She returned to work yesterday. We've emailed her twice. We've made phone calls to her, but I know that, everybody in the state, because they offered the money for, because we're expecting such a high number of absentee ballots for November. So probably every clerk's office across the entire state is trying to purchase tabulators or high-speed tabulators. And so that's, I think, the reason. What had originally happened, they were going to give $70,000 to Washtenaw County for the purchase.
Clerk Rowe, can we get a support before we continue talking?
Support Daryl Rowe.
So we have a motion and support. Thank you. I wanted to get that going. All right.
Sorry about that. Yeah. Anyways, we were going to purchase one together. And so anytime there was a multi-jurisdictional purchase, which is more than one municipality purchasing together, then they would automatically give the $30,000 or it was the $30,000. But the other communities ended up dropping out. The city of Ypsilanti, Pittsfield, and Superior, all because they're much smaller, and they decided that they didn't want to go with the high speed. The city of Ann Arbor did, and they did get the match, but because they were in early and going alone, they already got their firm commitment. And I just wanted to say, without purchasing this, we would have to purchase 5 regular scanners, which would amount to $27,500. And then also the amount of, one of the things, you will be able to save 9 election workers, because instead of each person feeding in the scanner all night long to 10 scanners, which is what we'll need for November, you put them in stacks, and then the stacks of 300 or 400 just take them automatically. So you only have one person feeding them in. So.
James, regarding the motion and support. No question. I have a couple. I had a brief conversation with Clerk Rowe last week on this, and once I got the packet, I actually had the numbers in front of me. The thing that isn't in the memo is the $118,000 for
a maintenance agreement for each year.
Yeah. No, the total is 118,000, right? So, and
what it is for the years 6 through 10, there's the first 6 years, there's not a separate charge for maintenance. But beginning in year 6, there's a $23,600 maintenance fee, which includes updates, upgrades for 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, which adds up to the 118,000 over a 4-year period. You're correct.
So I went back, because we did this before when the state purchased, I think it was 20 laptop or scanners for each pole when the state of Michigan switched over to HART. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's HART is a company, and they paid for the equipment. And then the township paid the $75,000 for 5 years. We can save $8,000 by paying it in one lump sum in 2021. And that was for 20 scanners plus 3 in AV. So it was like 23 scanners. So
27 we actually bought.
Was it 20? Okay. But 20, like that maintenance and service of 118,000, that's a lot of money. Like that is. And I think it should have been in the memo like it was before, because it looks like, it's a one-time purchase, not a big deal, but the 118,000, that is a lot of money. And I was just wondering.
Madam Chair.
I don't know. I mean, I wanted to get new technology, but that is $250,000 together. So I just was surprised when I looked at it. Treasurer Doe?
Yeah, and our main issue, I mean, if we go out and buy 5 more tabulators at the 25,000, and we will pay a little more for the help to run them, but we're not going to have a major election for another 2 or 4 years after this one. I mean, we're going to spend $250,000. And with this COVID, everything that's going on, we're not sure we're going to lose money from the state on revenue.
Yeah.
God only knows what else is going to happen. I just think it's too much to spend.
Madam Chair.
Trustee Eldridge?
I guess I would concur with the treasurer. As I looked at these numbers, we have no idea where the budget's going to take us right now. When I saw this in the agenda packet, I was a little surprised. Being on the election committee, I was never briefed about it ahead of time. And so I've tried to break down the numbers from this most recent election on our cost. And my suggestion would be that we hold a special meeting in the near future and talk about it when we all have a little bit more information and it's a single item on the agenda so we can look at cost. I know our court's going to need quite a bit of money to help them, close to $500,000. And I'm not saying this is a bad purchase nor a good one. I'm just saying, is this the right time to do it when we don't know where our finances are going to take us? We have no idea. I have some other questions about it, but those could wait until a special meeting. And I guess that would be my request.
We would just have to have the special meeting like within a couple of days, because the order's got to go in now. Either way, we either got to buy the 5 scanners or we've got to buy that high-speed tabulator. And I could put together, the number. It actually will save a whole lot more money than the expenditures than the scanners, because with the scanners, we had like 30 people or 20, I think it was 25 in the AV count board. With doubling that size, and then it's going to be like 60 people, and then the amount of hours that it's going to take, like this election right here, with the exception of it'll break even in terms of the cost, the labor costs, and the hours that it takes, and the cost of the scanners, but with the exception of the maintenance costs. Not included, but we would break even. We would break even and probably even save money by going with the high-speed tabulators for this election. And what people are projecting, and of course, there's no way to know that this is the wave of the future. And yeah, I think Treasurer Joe's right. Won't be for 2 years till we'll have a big election again, but then we will have a big election again. for every 2 years. And so the savings on the even years in terms of the labor costs will outweigh the cost, the cost over time, the payback costs in terms of the maintenance agreement, because the number of people, and not only that, even without the write-ins, we wouldn't have been done. The write-ins took us to almost 6 a.m. Without the write-ins, we weren't ready to run anything through with just 11,000 ballots until about 2 a.m. in the morning. We weren't ready to close out. So if you double that, we're talking about way into, even with the regular scanners, we're talking about going way into Wednesday sometime. And the whole idea of it was really, really exhausting for people that were there, that had to stay. Now, we were able to let some folks go at 8 o'clock, but it's without the high-speed tabulator, the November election is going to be way into sometime Wednesday. It took us to 2 o'clock for the 11,000, so I have no idea what time that will be.
And Madam Chair?
Yes.
Again, I just have a lot of concerns, and I know it was brought up in the last meeting about sharing this with other communities, putting ballots in. I have a lot of concerns. And if you're asking me to make a decision tonight on $250,000, it's going to be no. If we can have a special meeting and talk about it, that may change.
But Madam Chair,
Treasurer Doe?
also, if Ann Arbor bought their tabulator, supposedly they did. So what are they doing? Do they need all their small tabulators since they've got this big one? I mean, obviously, if we bought this tabulator, the 1 or 2 or 3 that we have, or whatever that number is right now, we wouldn't need those, other than backup for something. Is there a look at talking to Ann Arbor and see if they would donate or release the tabulators they have, if they could?
We've talked, yeah, everybody's trying to get Ann Arbor's tabulators because everybody needs them. Celine bought the high speed, and so did the city of Ann Arbor. So Celine probably doesn't have that many scanners because they're not that big. It's kind of amazing that they're buying the high speed one for their size, but yeah, that was being pursued.
Yeah, I would sort of agree with Stan. It'd be nice to see the numbers that, 60 sounds like a lot of people to me, Karen, but I don't know your job. 60 people.
Well, we had almost 25, I think it was 25 for 11,000 ballots, and they're predicting 25 to 27,000. And I think that's realistic, frankly. Our numbers, our permanent list is like over 15,000 now. And every day it's like, another 20, another 30.
I do have a question also in the material, because I didn't know you could do this, Karen, and I'm not sure. They said that it's a no-wait scanning, so you could actually scan them without tabulating them earlier, weeks prior? Did you read that?
No, what you do is you put them in, and then they have to be, how now you have to adjudicate or by hand when you have to
Duplicate?
Duplicate the ballots. That's all done on a computer screen, so you save a lot of time now. So you put in they suggest 300 or 400 in a stack. You put those in, they go and they're in like in a matter of minutes. And then what you do is you go through, because it's taking a digital picture of each one. So instead of, each before they would just pop out, and then you'd have to look at each one of them manually and then duplicate the ballot if that was what was called for. Now it goes on his screen. So you have a Republican and a Democrat just, that goes through the screen and looks to see if that ballot had a stray mark. And then it just needs to be, then they can actually, adjudicate on the computer. And then once they get through that batch of 300 or 400 doing them digitally, then they okay them, and then it sends them to the central computer, which is where they're tabulated and counted. And then they get their next 300 or 400 stack of 300 or 400 and put them in and do the same thing.
I was talking about in the packet, it said that the Verity Central scans without tabulating, so you can start scanning weeks before the polls close on election day. I didn't know we could do that.
And that's what I just, that's what I just,
No more late nights at the,
300 or 400, but you could hold, you could hold, like if the state was to okay that, because they're debating all that right now, to try to allow folks to open up, but not tabulate. That's not even on the legislative agenda. So that's not. No, I mean, it could do that. In some states, they do allow that. But in Michigan, the legislation that's being proposed right now by the former Secretary of State and supported by the current Secretary of State is to allow to do everything except for that, like to open the ballots, keep them in a secrecy sleeve, where you go through the list and you check everything off to make sure, everything's signed and every person's name is checked off, to do all that, but not to put them in any kind of adjudication or tabulator machine. The legislation being proposed is not even going to allow you to take them out of the secrecy envelope until Election Day. But in states where they do early voting and stuff, they can put them all in and do all that and just not send them to be counted. You're correct. It has that capability.
my concern with that is what happens when people want to change your ballot, or they say, I accidentally voted in Republican and Democrat. That eliminates the opportunity to do that.
I don't know what they do in those states.
I'm just all I know is what is in the information that was provided, and
Again, I think it just justifies waiting and having a special meeting to talk about it further.
We have no legal right in the state of Michigan. You can't do that. You can't count them ahead of time. You can't even open them ahead of time.
that's what I thought. So I was confused.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Karen, was it longer because of the write-in, because we had so many write-ins? Didn't that take much longer? There was something.
It did take longer, but they were not even to that point. It was 2:00 in the morning, and we had not even gotten to the point of printing out the, where you actually close the polls and then it prints out all the results, and then you go to write-in. It was 2:00 with 11,000 ballots. So even without the write-ins, we were at 2:00. It took from 2 to 5:30 to do the write-ins. So just figure it's going to be you're doubling that. So I don't know. It's going to be sometime, we started at 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. And my goal would be and we would double the number of people, because because I only had 5 scanners. So I'll double those and hopefully we can get done, but I'll have more. I didn't have as many. I'll have to push through. To do 10, it's close to 2,500 to 3,000 per scanner. It's going to be later than 2. It's going to be probably closer to 4 or 5, even with 5 more scanners.
Probably the whole state's going to be that way, but don't you start counting absentees earlier in the day? It's all in.
7 a.m. in the morning.
If you had, let's say you had 7, I don't know, what you have, 8,000 absentees or 6,000?
11,000. There was 11,000.
11,000 absentees. And then how many actually voted then?
That was 11,000 ballots returned. There was 14,000 mailed out.
Okay. So don't you start?
No, 14,000 is on the list now. There was 12,000 something mailed out.
Yeah, but I didn't think we got them all back.
You said we got 11,000.
I agree with Stan. I think, throw something together and look, so we can look at the numbers and have a meeting in 2 days or something. I don't know.
Lisa, what did they tell you for the deadline for ordering? I know it was soon, this week, next week.
Yeah, when I talked to Karen Clakeley at Hart, she said, hopefully this week, early next week, because she would like to order with the Ann Arbor City high-speed scanner in order to do training for everyone before.
Well, I always worry when I tell me I've got to make a decision in an urgent amount of time.
Madam Chair.
I can't believe they wouldn't wait a few days to sell a $250,000 piece of equipment.
Madam Chair.
Trustee Ross Williams.
Yeah. I don't know if we're going to have this at a special meeting or not at this point, I would probably agree it should be an option. But my biggest concern is more along the purchase of this nature right now. We don't know. I think even the attorney Winters highlighted, and I think it's also been highlighted by Treasurer Doe. We don't know what the budget is going to look like. I mean, I know I won't be here for all of that, but in the same aspect, the federal government at this point, we don't know if they're going to approve money for the states. If they do approve money for the states, it's probably going to be in late September. By the time that gets down to the municipalities, maybe talking October, maybe even later. And without knowing what's going to happen to state share revenue at this point, I would be very, very careful with large purchases. On top of that, I think Trustee Eldridge mentioned that it would be some additional funding that's required for the courts in Ypsilanti Township. I would say proceed with caution, because no one knows what the budget is going to look like, especially as it pertains to state share revenue, or maybe none at this point. So like $500,000 purchase, when you don't know that, you don't know what it's going to look like. That's a hot coal to be stepping in at this point. So that's just what my belief is. I think it looked like it may go to a special meeting, but I would have reservations on it regardless because of that.
So what I hear people saying is a special meeting.
I would make a motion to table it this evening and schedule a special meeting within the next week.
Okay. There's a motion by Eldridge.
Support.
Nobody wants to know by Friday.
A table into a special meeting to be called and more information. So we have a motion and support. We have to do a roll call vote. Clerk Rowe. Trustee Eldridge.
Yes.
Trustee Ross Williams.
Yes.
Treasurer Doe.
Yes.
Trustee Wilson.
Yes.
Trustee Gerald Rowe.
Yes, is this, do we have a date for the?
I think it's going to depend on how quickly all the information can get to us.
We have the
I mean,
information.
yes, either way.
And Clerk Rowe.
I voted yes.
Okay, I didn't hear you. You were
I'm
frozen.
sorry.
We have a motion to table to call a special meeting. The motion is approved. The next item is a request to set a public hearing for the creation of streetlight special assessment district for Crystal Ponds on September 15th at approximately 7 o'clock.
Move to approve.
Support Eldridge.
Motion Doe, support Eldridge. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 9 is a request to set a public hearing for creation of neighborhood security camera special assessment district for Crystal Ponds on September 15th at approximately 7:05 probably.
Move to approve.
Motion Ross Williams,
Support Eldridge.
support Eldridge, is that correct?
Yes.
Questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 10 is budget amendment number 9, and we'll be removing the section regarding the scanner.
124,000. I'd move to increase the general fund budget by whatever number it is without the scanner, and approve the department line item changes as outlined, to increase the recreation fund budget by $3,000 to $778,199, and approve the line item changes as outlined, increase the hydro station fund by $33,918 to $517,418, and approve the line item changes as outlined.
Motion Rowe,
Support Doe.
support Doe.
I do have a question.
Yes.
I was just wondering because the court is down. Is everybody working? Like I was because of the budget, expenditures being so high. What is being done to cut, or because the loss of revenue? Is everybody working even though they're not operating fully, or there's what's being done to cut those costs?
They are working. They have not laid off or furloughed any employees. And the draft budget is going to show next year with the same thing. So it'll be about it's around $400,000 right now for 2020, and 2021 is over 600,000.
Do they have a plan since the revenue is not coming in? They're obviously not having court cases and stuff. I mean, I wouldn't think you can keep operating the same way when you don't have the revenue, and there should be a plan for whatever they're planning on doing.
That Judge Pope and Magistrate Nelson talked to us about that budget, but I've asked similar questions as well. But as of right now in the draft budget, they do have Zoom hearings and they do have revenue, but it's so dramatically different from what was projected. But no,
our revenue's cut too, so I wouldn't think that they can just expect us just to do a budget amendment for 100,000 every month or quarter or whatever it is. They've got to come up with a plan to cut their expenditures when they don't have the revenue. But at least that's what most people do.
what we've asked, what the plan was.
We haven't gotten one.
Well, they're also under a different order from the state court than the township government and local government and county government. So they order them how to open and how to conduct the business of the court. It's a lot different. But we can ask those questions during the draft budget and it will be delivered soon, probably by Monday. But right now, the plan is to get 600,000 plus from the general fund. We have a motion and support on the budget amendment. Is that correct?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Under authorization and bids, we have the request to seek sealed bids for a 5-year lease for the golf cart fleet at Green Oaks Golf Course.
So move. Joe Rowe.
Support Wilson.
Motion Joe Rowe, support Wilson. I know Attorney Winters has reviewed this, correct? Are there questions on this? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2 is request to approve the proposal from Coffee Tree Group for managed detection and response services and to approve signing of the agreement pending the attorney review.
So move Lovejoy Rowe.
Support Doe.
Motion Lovejoy Rowe, support Doe. Questions or comments? I know that Travis is available to manage the security of our site. Are there questions on this? You have a question? Heather, do you have a question?
No.
This Zoom stuff is getting on my daggone nerves, but okay. We have a motion to support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 3 is request to seek qualifications for consulting services for the development of a built township website, which I know we
Move to approve.
motion
Support Zero Row.
support Gerald Rowe. Are there questions or comments on this?
Madam Chair, I'll have a comment. I know it was spoke about earlier in the meeting in regards to the cumbersome is a good way to say it, number of links on our township website. So to see this come forward, to look at trying to find ways to rebuild the township website is definitely a welcome as I say, proposal for multiple reasons, including making it easier for residents or even visitors to our township to be able to navigate the website and find out information on a timely basis. So I think this is a great proposal, and I thank Travis for bringing it forward.
Madam Supervisor?
I mean, Clerk Rowe.
I know it's a consultant, they're gonna develop it, but please, I'm assuming, but they say don't assume anything, that it'll be, that we actually have a website that works on our phones. Right, Travis?
Yes, that's part of it. We have a motion. Any other questions or comments? It'll come back to the board. Is there motion? We have a motion support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now, under other business, there's 2 items, but there was nothing in the packet, Clerk Rowe. I'm not sure.
David Streeter had asked some time ago, months ago, like right around when COVID in March, to do a presentation, a work session. And so we had said that we would put him on the agenda because we have no idea when we're going to go to regular meetings. So I guess at this point, David can make his presentation.
Yeah, I guess, you know, what we were looking for was not quite a presentation, but we had made a recommendation to the board. So it started about a year ago, August of 2019. We met up, we did a subcommittee, myself, Park Commissioner Swanson, and Trustee Monica Ross Williams, and Trustee Heather Rowe, Heather Joe Rowe. So we met up a couple times just to identify a location, because that's kind of, it's been our stumbling block this whole time. September, we kind of decided the eastern portion of Lakeside Park would be a suitable potential location for a dog park. And we kind of talked about it on the board together, but then in February of this year is when we made the recommendation. And after talking with Clerk Lovejoy Rowe, I think it was in March or April that we had decided to put it on the agenda. And of course, about 2 weeks later is when we stopped having the meeting. So that's kind of where we are now.
Okay. Are there questions regarding? I'm sorry, there was nothing in the packet, so we didn't have.
Yeah, I guess maybe it should have.
Karen, I'm trying. Is the introduction to the idea? Is that what it is? Karen?
Point of clarification. I'm sorry.
Trustee Rossman?
Yeah, point of clarification. I do appreciate David continuing to push this forward. I guess my question is, should it have went under the agenda if it's a recommendation for the township board under new business? For the township board to act on, if it was looking to have action of some sort. I'm assuming the action would be to designate the space, the land for a future dog park sometime in the future, but maybe that's what I'm asking. Should it went up under new business?
My understanding was David wanted to present the idea, but I mean, if that's what the board wants to do, we could make a motion now, or we could put it on a future agenda to approve this site as the future for a dog park. I know the residents are really, they want a dog park anywhere. People travel a long ways right now.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Trustee Eldridge.
I would just ask that we put it on the agenda, but that we also include the attorney, because I'm sure there's some liability issues we're gonna have to look into and make sure we're covered for a number of reasons. So I would just ask that if they have future meetings, they include somebody from our legal counsel with them.
Madam Chair.
Trustee Gero Rowe.
Yeah, I just thank you, David, for staying on so long at this meeting, and I appreciate all the work that you've done. And I think that at the last meeting that I attended, like the subcommittee meeting, we talked about all these things, and someone brought up the issue of liability and locations. And if I had to guess, Dave is just kind of looking for some feedback about our board and like direction on like, is this something that we're actually going to, you know, be interested in moving forward, and what are our thoughts on the location? I, of course, along with Trustee Ross Williams, we were at the subcommittee meeting, so we talked about locations pretty extensively. So just, you know, getting the other board members' thoughts on what do you think about this location, and then looking into the whole liability issues in the future, of course, are a big concern. And then also just now, David, just some extra thoughts that I have are considering the times and financial uncertainties, like if we could look for maybe some grant funding with the help of Mike Hoffmeister, or reaching out to like the local, like Huron Valley Humane Society, and seeing, you know, if they're interested in partnering with us in any way to help get this project going, even with the financial uncertainty that we have.
Yeah, if I may, thank you for that. I guess where we are is we decided maybe early that we should choose a location before anything else. That had always been a stumbling block for years, I think, on the Park Commission. I think liability, I think environmental impact, I think probably two of the top things we're going to need to be worried about. You know, the financial aspect, it's tough to say. Swift Run is the only community dog park around, and that's a joint venture between the city of Ann Arbor and Washtenaw County Parks. I think we did talk about that being a definite idea of, you know, reaching out to the county, but yeah, I think, you know, I guess maybe in hindsight, you know, maybe location is not the first step, but environmental, financial, and liability maybe being the first steps. But we just, I think as the board, the Park Commission, we were, you know, I'm often approached about it. That's kind of the big kicker with the community. So I know some newer neighborhoods on the southern portion, they have a few in their neighborhoods, but I just think it's something that we should probably have on the front page of our Park Commission agenda the next, I mean, as soon as we can. This spring, this COVID definitely brought out a lot of people spending outdoors time, getting new dogs, the COVID adoptions. I mean, so, you know, I guess in a sense, this is kind of me saying to the Board of Trustees, look, this is going to be something we want to move on, but we don't have, I guess, the access to the right first steps.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Trustee Ross Williams.
I would say, first of all, to the Park Commission that have worked very diligently in order to move this forward after years of being stalled on various park commissions. Thank you. That's the first thing. Secondly, yes, I do also, actually I brought up the financial concerns that may go forward in the future, but in the same aspect, designating land is not a financial concern. If the land is designated, then at that sometime in the future where the budgetary measures are better, then it could go forward. The other part is while you're designating land, you can do the environmental studies to see about if that place works for environmental. You could do it as a possible proposed land location in order to study the environmental issues. So I just feel, first things first, again, I'm going to thank David's leadership on the park commission that continue to listen to our residents and that wanted dog parks. I know it was talked about even inside of our parks and recreation master plan inside of the slow rate meetings that we had. So I want to thank David. I want to thank the park commission for continuing to push forward. Even though Culver obviously is and will be impacting everybody's budget, I do think that getting it to this point of a place where it is like, okay, this can be designated land is a huge step forward. I would love to see this brought under new business, if nothing else, is to commit to studying the particular land location that the park commission has designated.
You know, there's two things. I don't have the memo that would help me. I don't know how many acres. I don't have enough information to really talk a lot about it, but I do know that one thing, that area is very, very wet, David, and I'm not sure if the park commission's aware of that. And I don't even know if that matters in a dog park, but that's one issue that I've heard. But the environmental would probably address that. And then secondly, last year, towards the end of the year, Larry Doe and I had a meeting with EMU road team. And then COVID hit, but they were looking at having the road team as a competitive sport on Ford Lake and have regattas, and we haven't had any more conversations, so I don't know if that's still a possibility, and I don't know if that means having some additional land available for that. That's why I don't know what the acres are, but I just wanted to raise, those are two things that I just wanted to share. I think I know people want one. I don't know the cost of one. I don't know the maintenance of one. I don't know the liability, but I think they do have them in other communities, so that there should be a path forward on that. But those are the two issues on that particular part. Just wanted to share.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we ran into a lot of stumbling blocks with the locations, a lot of wet areas, which obviously probably why there's no play set in certain areas. We tried to review, I guess I didn't mention, township owned properties that are not currently a park, between 1 to 5 acres. It was just an outside of the box idea. I mean, I don't think we even pursued over 5 acres. It was just kind of like a thought. But I think, again, after kind of thinking about this for a year now, maybe, we can come to, we could bring forth an agenda item that says, we should probably contract with an environmental firm to say, what are the steps, what makes sense. We're not married to any specific area. We just, I think collectively we all agree it should get done. I don't think it's a very big task that we can accomplish. So, myself and the trustees and Commissioner Swanson, we can meet up and kind of maybe take a different angle at this if that's the right step, I think.
So it's 1 to 5 acres as though the size?
No, we looked up township owned properties between 1 to 5 acres.
Okay.
We understand, look, we're fortunate Swift Run Dog Park is near us. It is a very nice dog park, very large, accommodates larger dogs and smaller dogs. We're not looking to do that out of the gate. We just want an area where, maybe residents from apartments can come and just let their dogs run around for a little bit, get some fun time. But so again, I think if the trustees and Commissioner Swanson, we can definitely reconvene on this and come back at a different time.
Yeah. That sounds good. I think, so are you, I think I support having one. Are you looking for support for having one and then identifying? I support having one with more information.
Correct. It's tough for our commission to gather that information without bringing a recommendation to the Board of Trustees. So that's kind of where we are, I think.
So you're looking for a consultant or County Parks and Rec? I mean, I don't know who, because they did that one with the city of Ann Arbor. Maybe we can talk to them as well to find out what's the best steps forward.
Brenda Elliott has his hand up.
Oh.
I don't know if he had a comment, maybe they've done something for HMS.
I don't see Elliot. Karen? I don't,
Right under Joanne McCollum's name, right?
He's under the attendees.
oh, they're under guests.
Just tell him to go ahead.
Hey, good evening, guys. Can you hear me? All right, awesome. Ellie Smithowicz. I'm just to mirror David's sentiment about dog parks. We've had some dog park projects in the past. So if we don't want to do any kind of preliminary discussion, I can talk with David offline. So no notable ones we've done is the one up in Novi. It's about 3 acres. So we can also maybe even do kind of a preliminary cost estimate too. If that's something you guys might be interested in.
Thank you, Elliot.
Yep.
Thank you, Elliot.
Madam Chair,
Trustee.
yeah, I just wanted to ask David, was there any other locations that you looked at also or considered? Is there like a number 2 location? Is it like a close?
I wouldn't say there was a specific number 2. I think what we got hung up on was it's tough to find a community park that has the area, and we strayed away from neighborhood parks due to the homeowners. We didn't want any issues with neighbors not wanting a dog park there. So, and I'll be honest with you, that was a year ago. I don't really remember what number 2 or 3 would have been. Sorry.
That's all right. Thank you.
Right.
And I really support this initiative because everybody in the township talks about this.
They
So
do.
we do need to move to the next steps with it.
And we will have a whole new partnership.
That's true. Madam Chair, would it be appropriate? I know obviously Elliot is going to work with David on the cost estimate, which is okay. But would it be, or maybe not, I don't know. I saw your head shakes. But would it be appropriate maybe to have the Park Commission bring forward a recommendation in order to designate land, even if it's not that particular piece of land, of township owned property for a future dog park? I think that could just be give a commitment, and then obviously move forward with additional steps from there.
That sounds like a good idea too. Isn't there only one returning park commissioner, Dave, and that's you?
At this point, I believe that's correct. Yes.
Yeah. So you're gonna, and I think everyone agrees we need it, and it's in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan. So probably just how do we get there, right? And that's the question you're asking. How do we get there?
Correct. I think that's location being stumbling block number 1, but of course that being number 2. And yeah, I am more than happy to work, with Elliot and, most likely Mike Hoffmeister on this. And, if it's something I can tackle a little bit of in the subcommittee with Trustee Ross Williams and Trustee Gerald Rowe and Commissioner Swanson, I'm more than happy to do a little extra for that. So,
Madam Supervisor?
Yes.
I just want to say, I know in Middlesboro, Kentucky, which is very, very small and very, very poor, they have 10,000 residents. They actually got fence companies to donate the fencing. So, I mean, it's just an idea. And then a group of volunteers, kind of like we did at Ford Heritage Park, actually put the fence, put the fencing, because that's the most expensive thing is the fencing. Once you get the environmental stuff, other stuff and the cleanup and all the rules all worked out. So anyways, might be something worth doing is reaching out to local fencing companies to see if they give you a discount once you figure out what you actually need.
Good idea. Okay. So is that in the discussion on this agenda item? We'll come back, Dave, after you guys get together and
Yeah, I think,
we meet with the county Parks and Rec, which your boss is a member of that, Evan Pratt. So I bet there's a lot of information already there because they did the SWIFT run. It'll be much smaller scale. And what steps did they take and what steps do we need to take in order to make that happen? I do think with a new park commission though, you might want to involve them too. That's November, I know, but it's a totally new board.
yeah,
And I believe they'll support it as well.
I hope so. I think it's a task we can probably get accomplished relatively quick once we get the ball rolling.
Okay.
And I think let's go with this as step one to that. Just the board of trustees is aware and,
Support.
I can work offline with Mike and Elliot Smith.
Okay. The next item is a discussion on equity committee.
There's nothing in the packet on this since Sumbo, but I didn't know what I wasn't clear, so I just wanted to put it on as kind of a discussion item is what were the next steps or how we thought that we might move forward with it. If people had any ideas.
Well, I know the motion was to schedule a work session and actually just, discuss it in depth. But I think we thought we were going to be meeting in person too. I've been working on budget stuff, so I haven't done anything else yet. I have reached out to the county again to try to get some ideas from them. This is also budgetary, which we talked about, which would be part of a 2021 budget if that's what we did. So I haven't done anything more than what I just stated. I don't know if anyone else has, but it said that we were going to schedule a work session and really, discuss it. That was on June 16th. So,
well, yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to schedule. That's kind of why I put it on here to see where people wanted to go. If you wanted to schedule, start a board meeting since we're going to be in COVID for a while, whether we wanted to put that on something for, like a 6 o'clock.
I don't, I know we also talked about the new board coming in too. So I'm
at the pleasure of what
right now, and you've been working on the election and you got another election coming up. It's going to take a lot of time and conversations and a lot of input to really discuss it. I kind of like next steps too. And I have not come up with, I thought maybe you did because you said discussion equity committee, but again, there was nothing in the packet. So I apologize. I wasn't prepared.
No, I was just looking for direction.
Okay. I don't have any direction at this time.
Okay. And then if I could just go ahead and give my report, is that okay? Really, unless other people had other comments on the equity, I'm sorry.
Are you talking about board member?
Yeah.
Sure, you can go first.
The only thing I want to say is I did reach out an email to Catherine McClary. I don't know if anyone else has heard from her in terms of the auctions. I see that she has some properties up for sale, but we have not been notified as we're required to be under law. So I reached out to her, sent her an email, have not heard back from her.
What is the deadline, Karen?
We were supposed to be notified. I don't know, maybe Doug remembers. I didn't actually look up the legislation, but I believe it's either 1st of June or 1st of July, and her auction is set to go in September. What I saw on the website which is not what our typical thing is. I had to go to, you know, how you go to the county website and then you go to auctions. I didn't get that list that she normally has, but she does have a property on Whitaker Road up for minimum bid starting at 229,000 for a house on, that's the only residential, but I don't know if that's a complete list. So I don't know at this point, maybe we could get Attorney Winters, if the board agrees, just have her send a letter saying, where's our list that you're required by law to send to us? Or I could do that. I did send her emails saying I don't have the list yet.
Did you send her the question already?
Yes, I sent it to her early, what is today, Tuesday, towards mid last week, when something just dawned on me. And I just said, gosh, you know, she hasn't sent the list out.
Okay. Well, I do know there's, Attorney Winters can articulate it better than I, but there was also a court decision on selling a tax foreclosed property or mortgage foreclosed property. And I know that Wayne County had a pretty big settlement to pay people back. If you sold it for more than what it was tax foreclosed on or mortgaged on, I don't know which one, then the court ruled that you had to reimburse the person who lost the house. So I don't know, Doug, have you heard anything else on that from the county?
Well, in regards to the first part, I have not been in contact with her office, so if someone can send me a copy of the letter that Karen sent, I can follow up on with that issue. I think I talked about it back in May. Normally in the past, we've always got the list in April and May because we would go ahead and identify our right of first refusal based upon that list. And in the past, we would buy those properties for the exact amount that was owed for back taxes and costs and sell those again in the same amount to Habitat. We argued with her for years that what she was doing was illegal in regards to selling those properties and profiteering and giving those monies to Washtenaw County. In fact, there was at one point in time during one sit-down conversation, she actually was bragging that she had given the county $1 million or over $1 million in excess funds from properties that were foreclosed upon and sold. And many of those people could have used that money to get a second start. So we've been at odds on this for many, many years. But in regards to that list of properties that she intends to auction, it's been a game of now you see it, now you don't. Because sometimes she'll give us a list and then the properties will disappear and then they'll reappear again and disappear again. And so at this point, I have no problem sending a letter to her asking for a list of all township properties that she intends to auction, because she spreads the auction out over June, July, August, September, maybe even later in the year. We should have got that list. The assessing department should have got that list by now. I know that Mike Radzik, myself, and Bill Elling talked about that list as to where it was at. So it may have been somewhat hampered by the COVID, but that doesn't take away from what should have been provided the township. So there's a lot of issues with that, with the tax foreclosures. The township has never sold any of those properties for a profit. We've always simply done a pass-through conduit to Habitat, and they did for a long time do a fantastic job. At the same time, they have a number of houses now that have not been rehabilitated that need to be addressed as well. So we might also want to look at what direction we would go with those houses if we did exercise our right of first refusal, because some of the properties that Mike and Dave Bellers and I looked at early on last year, there were a number of houses that Habitat did acquire that they were still sitting on, had not yet been rehabilitated. So there's a lot of issues and sub-issues within that question. So I'll wrap it up by saying I can send a letter to her and ask Karen to send me a copy of her letter so I can make a reference in my letter to what was previously requested of her by the township clerk.
Our county commissioners can also get it as well. Just an idea.
I just sent the email to you, Doug, so there.
Okay.
Madam Chair. Yeah, didn't know. Is it okay for me to quickly do a board member update or no?
Yes, I was just gonna.
Okay, great, thank you. I just wanted to comment in regards to the follow-up to the West Willow meeting that had happened on now, oh, my days are going past me so quickly, on Monday, and talk about the concerns that was deeply expressed inside that meeting in regards to response and police response. I just want to make it clear, this is not just a West Willow problem. This is a problem across our township in regards to response post-covert, and trying to figure out how it is that the our law enforcement, contracted law enforcement, will be able to deal with the new policing model post-covert. I am just going to put on the record, it is imperative that with whatever may be ahead, the community feels safe and is safe. And what was expressed at the West Willow meeting was community members that did not feel safe. And that is a problem. I'm sure if we took a poll across Ypsilanti Township, it is not just West Willow. And so we pay for a service in Ypsilanti Township. We pay a lot of money for a service. $6.5 million of money is paid for that service. So the service has to be given regardless of the issues that may exist with covert. And I do look forward to a future meeting with the township, the Washington County Sheriff's Office in regards to how it is that they're going to tailor whatever policies they have post-COVID so that the certain residents of our township can receive the services that they pay for in their tax dollars. So thank you.
Thank you. And we had a meeting today via Zoom with the Sheriff's Department, and there's another one scheduled for Thursday as well to have follow-up conversations in regards to the concerns that were raised, not only at the West Willow Neighborhood Watch meeting, but other meetings as well. So we'll continue that conversation. And I know Trustee Ross Williams, you'll be involved with that, as well as Joanne McCollum and Justin Hodge is leading a committee through the Sheriff's Department, and there's going to be a meeting coming up on that as well this week. So you shared your concerns today, and I think we'll continue to find the answers and have community engagement somehow with COVID-19 as well. So are there any other board members updates or? No, I would like to say that the township was awarded the Daniel Burnham Award for a comprehensive plan for the master plan. And yeah, it's really quite a prestigious award. Only one municipality in the state of Michigan wins the award each year. And the plans are sent out of state to another chapter of the American Planning Association for peer review. And planners from the out-of-state chapter review the plans to meet high standards for five of the criteria and Ypsilanti Township master plan process. You know, and we had huge community engagement. It was led by Carlisle Wortman and the master plan committee, and it was an amazing process that we went through. We spent a lot of dollars and invested into that master plan process. And I think it's a real honor to receive an award for it. There's going to be a press release and all of that, but I just wanted to share it at this board meeting and as well. Once we get the award, they'll probably give it to us on Zoom. I'm not sure how that happens. So yeah, many thanks to the residents that were involved and to the the board and the planning commission and the planners and everyone that really participated in that process. So it is quite an honor to receive that award as a community. Something I do want to start, if we're going to continue with Zoom, I do think we need to have Zoom rules or policies, because when we're in a boardroom, you can't go in and out, and unless like we have technical difficulties that happens. So I try to text someone just to say I have a technical difficulty, but you know, and we have to make sure the panelists do not allow others to use their panelists access, because you have to raise your hand and stuff like that. So we might want to look at a policy of some sort. I'm sure communities already have one in order to do Zoom meetings. So I just wanted to mention that as well. We don't have any other board member updates. Is there a motion and support to adjourn?
So moved, Eldridge.
Motion Eldridge?
Support.
Support Russ Williams. It's 9:18. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I don't know, Karen and
I was here.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
oh,
Good night.
Good night.